Well, Witchers, there's apparently been some leaks about a possible Witcher 3 new expansion and/or DLC. And honestly, I was not going to talk about this because there are constantly leaks about little things, and I thought, well, look, this is just... There's barely anything on this. What's the point of making a video about it? However, I realized this was a perfect opportunity to talk about possible expansion ideas, and also, I may as well cover the leaks in this video as well. So all these leaks originate from a Polish podcast, which I'm not going to attempt to try and say the name because I have a lot of difficulty with it, but I was first drawn attention to this on Twitter or X by this user, and, you know, I watched the podcast, had no idea what they were saying, and then eventually I saw some other articles, and I've read some stuff since then, and I have a general idea about what's happening with all of this, and I'm just going to read the machine-translated version of what they said so you guys can also have a good understanding of this. Let's move on to our main topic. From the information we have collected, it turns out that the announced mysterious project by CD Projekt Red, made by Fool's Theory, which if you're wondering is the team currently working on the Witcher 1 remake, is a story DLC for The Witcher 3. This is confirmed information from several independent sources. The video added, what we know is that this is a DLC for The Witcher 3 based on one piece of information. I can't confirm it any further, but the earliest it could be is in the future year, so 2026. We also more or less know the order of the releases. First, mods for consoles, then the DLC for The Witcher 3, then The Witcher 4, and finally the remake of The Witcher 1. But honestly, I have seen different translations of even this, so I'm not entirely sure exactly what they're saying, but essentially that's the general idea that we have. You don't need to know every little detail. I still don't know how substantiated this is, but apparently they're going to be releasing it after the Witcher 3 mod announcement for consoles, which is also great. It shows that they still have interest in supporting The Witcher 3 to some degree. They also did that Netflix Witcher Quest, whatever you thought of that, recently, so they clearly know that they can still implement stuff into the game. So yeah, I mean, we'll have to see what happens with it, but that's what we know so far about The Witcher 3 possible story DLC or expansion leaks. So I wanted to take this opportunity to make this video a little bit more interesting and just discuss some of the possibilities I've come up with about what sort of DLC I imagine this could be. Option 1 is a mini quest in Toussaint with Geralt involving Ciri, and I was sort of thinking maybe depending on your Witcher ending, depends on the initial starting nature of your quest. So for example, maybe if you had the Empress ending or the ending where she hates Geralt, he gives her the sword Ciri-Geralt, which he gave her at the end of The Witcher 3, in the Witcher ending, which is why she has a similar looking sword in the Witcher 4 trailer. It would sort of clear up that issue, and also this would clear up the issues with the other endings, right? I mean, well, not completely, but I'll get into that in some other option, but the main reason I feel that way is because of the end of Blood and Wine when Geralt says goodbye. They're not going to want to ruin that. Option 2, a full-on expansion where we play as Ciri, but it would be far longer. Maybe we explore a limited section of Nilfgaard as Ciri if she's Empress. I'm thinking something similar in scope to the Palace in Vizima, so it wouldn't be this incredibly big area of Nilfgaard. That would be, I can't imagine that, but who knows. And then maybe you go to Toussaint, as they've already got all the assets for Toussaint, for a little quest line involving a retired Geralt, as I discussed in the previous option. So this would allow us to play as Ciri, get a sense of it in The Witcher 3. I feel like they might go for something playing as Ciri, and I should mention as well, for option 1, it would all be playing as Ciri. So the reason I think that it's most likely, if they're going to do this, to be an expansion or DLC where you play as Ciri is because they want players to really get used to it. Past what we did in The Witcher 3, they want us to have a full-on story playing as this character in a game we love, because then it can kind of warm you up to the idea in The Witcher 4. And just because I feel like I have to mention this for those of you that are gonna call it out, yes, I know you can get Ciri at the end of the game in Toussaint if you go for the Witcher or Empress ending and you fail to romance either Yennefer or Triss, but I think my previous options surrounding Ciri possibly even being in Nilfgaard at some point could still work if she just simply went back. Or they slightly adjusted the ending, so let's say you got the Empress ending, you would not have Ciri go to Corvo Bianco yet, you would have that short quest line and then she would just hang around there at the end of that, which would still be pretty interesting. You could just change the dialogue options slightly or have it to align with them more closely. I think it's definitely manageable, and to be honest, the main concerns I have if this quest, if it's real, involves Ciri in any way would be are they going to get her Witcher 3 voice actress back? And when I say voice actress, of course, I mean the English voice actress in The Witcher 3, because I'm not sure her thoughts on being replaced in The Witcher 4, but I'm not sure how happy she would be to come back and record just a bit of content before being sort of pushed aside again, or if she just isn't interested in any way in having anything to do with The Witcher. You would need to get someone that can do an incredible impression of her voice in The Witcher 3, because as much as I think The Witcher 4 voice is, I like it, it is obviously not the same voice as she had in The Witcher 3, so this is an issue as well if this content included her. As adjusting to that after finishing The Witcher 3 could be quite jarring in the same game. Option 3 would be a full-on proper expansion, and this could be almost anything. I mean, the ideas are almost limitless if you think about the Witcher universe, as you think about something like Hearts of Stone or Blood and Wine, and they are not exactly expected expansions when you play the Witcher 3 base game. And of course, if similar in scope to something like those expansions, this DLC, I'm still unsure if this is a DLC or an expansion, because technically an expansion is a DLC because it is downloadable content, but it's a little bit confusing because I don't quite know how the translations have worked as well. So I'm just kind of using the terms interchangeably for now, and we'll see. But what I'm trying to say for these options is, if it was an expansion like that, it's essentially like a whole other game. So, for example, we could visit a specific region, like Mahakam, Nilfgaard, Dol Blathanna, Kovir, which would be really shocking, Zerrikania, but again, I really doubt we would have an expansion of this size at this point in the game. It would be great, don't get me wrong. I mean, as you know, I would love to have something with Iorveth, or I would love to have something covering a different area. Another thing I should mention is this expansion, I feel, let's say, for some reason, let's say it's not actually on Ciri and they decide to continue Geralt's story in some way, I feel like they would probably set it before the events of Blood and Wine. So let's say you went to Mahakam or Dol Blathanna or something like that. It would be quite odd to have that really nice ending at Blood and Wine and then just do another expansion set after that, purely about Geralt. I think in the sense of a Witcher 4 prequel it makes sense, because Geralt's story is sort of finished, right, and you're playing as Ciri, or even if you're playing as Geralt in that sort of, let's say, like an epilogue expansion, it could be quite an interesting experience too. Option 4, cut content. Now this option is a complete stab in the dark, but I've got to add it in just for us Witcher fans that know how much content was cut from The Witcher 3 and we want to see it all. The main thing I would like to see in this expansion, this downloadable content, would be a sort of Witcher 3 Complete Edition. All the quest lines that within the cut content they had almost finished, and the little quests they almost finished, if they just went and finished those and put that in a downloadable piece of content, I think fans would be incredibly happy. For example, there was an entire quest line surrounding Iorveth that was cut apparently pretty late into development. He was supposed to appear in a massive quest line, it's centered around the Nilfgaardian war effort, and also there was an outbreak of the Catriona plague. He would have been with Roach, Vest, Tala, he would have appeared in Kaer Morhen at the end of the game. It would be amazing if we could have that sort of quest back in. Of course, there's so much cut content they could add in. There was Vincent Mies, or Mez, always forget how to say his name, who was also involved in the Plague quest line, and just a series of other important characters and important events, like with the Wild Hunt potentially attacking Novigrad. All this stuff was cut. A lot of it was further on in development than you might think. I would love if they announced Fool's Theory was just finishing off that content. I would be like, okay, this is amazing, guys. This is exactly what we all want to see. Wow, I would love to see that. I'm not holding my breath for that. I think we'll probably be seeing that in the 20th anniversary, if ever. I would still love to see that, but if they announced that, that would be one of the most incredible announcements I could imagine for this game. My opinion, if these leaks are true, as I've said, I feel like the most likely way in which this would manifest would be a Witcher 4 prequel, Witcher 3 epilogue, where you play as Ciri and you go and meet Geralt and you have a small quest with him and you get used to playing as Ciri and you get your sword depending on which ending it was, or you repair your relationship if it's the ending where she hates Geralt. So my first two ideas align with this. Of course I would love if Iorveth appeared somehow. If they just put him in there, that'd be great. I mean, everyone would love that. But we'll have to see if anything else comes out. These leaks I have not seen any evidence for whatsoever. I don't know if it's hidden in this podcast somewhere and no one has picked it out yet because I can't pick it out in the Polish. If anyone has any more information, please let me know down in the comments below. I would love to know if there's anything that I just haven't seen yet, because it would be great for all of us to get a more more complete understanding of this, because for me, this just has come out of it's just come out of nowhere. So let's see what happens. I'm excited to see the future of this. I should let you guys know I was actually working on another video, which is almost 30 minutes long, whilst this news came out, and I was really debating whether or not to make this video, but I thought, look, it's a WitcherGeorge channel, we gotta cover this and see what happens. So thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe for more Witcher content. Please like today's video if you want to see more like it. Comment what you thought of today's video, and also, of course, a big thank you to the members. You guys are amazing. Thanks for supporting this channel directly. I'm going to be adding a new tier to the members, so thank you again. So thanks guys for watching today's video. See you in the next one. Good luck in your adventures, everyone, and have an awesome rest of the week.